Hi, it's Albert Luck again from luckymaths.co.uk. This is multiplication 4. So the level is stepping up a little bit now. This is more like GCSE Foundation style questions. 3-digit times 2-digit multiplication for 3 marks on the non-calculator paper generally. So 153 lots of 32. Now the way I've arranged the top is generally how I'd maybe get students to operate. We talked about doubling can be dangerous if you go too far. So maybe sometimes the safe option is just going from 1 lot to 2 lots to 4 lots to 8 lots, and then going round into the 10s, 20s, 40s, 80s, and then you can go to the hundreds. And that is then, for me, more efficient than trying to keep doubling forever, basically. So 1 lot of 32 brings us 2 lots, 64, and 4 lots will be 128. So 8 lots is therefore 256. Now my argument for this method is that is the difficult bit, because just generating the doubles there now gives you the information for the next bit. Because what you could do, and I don't really like to give too many shortcuts, but because we are multiplying by 10, but if you basically add a 0, because we're already dealing with, there's no decimals involved here, 32 becomes 320 if you times it by 10. 64 is 640. 128 is 1,280. And then 2,560 would be 80 lots. And all of a sudden, we've got 80 lots without doing a lot of work. Okay, it's just now how are we going to get the 100 lots? Because when we break this down, what are we looking for? 153. So I'm just going into, before I write what goes below the 100, again, I'm looking at place value. 3 units, 5 tens, and 100. Which is why this setup, I think, really works nicely to show you where the information comes from. So 10 lots of 32 is 320. 100 lots will be 3,200, because that is 10 times more than that. Okay, and so we'll cross out the ones we don't need. We need to add together basically these values. Now, of course, you can choose to do that in kind of groups and steps. So you might want to say, well, hang on, actually, I can just do 64 and 32, right? Okay, so that's 96. So already that saves me maybe one number going into my column or whatever you're going to do. Because so that's what I mean. Some students then I'll get them to say, right, okay, on your whiteboard or in your book, whatever, just add together 3,200, 1,280, 320, and then 96. So we've got 6, 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 9, 19, 2 plus 2, 4, 3, 7, plus 1, 8, 3 plus 1 is 4. So I'm making the answer to be 4,896, but we're going to check that using a couple of other different ways, let's say, below, and where I've just been more efficient. So I'm going back to, it's 153 lots of 32. So by doing this way, we save a little bit of the work. 32 still doubles to make 64. But then if I get my 10 lots in, which is 320, I can times that by another 10 to get 3,200. But then if I half that, I can get 50 lots, which is 1,600. And then I've got, one fewer value to add, and less information to have to put into the table. I guess the less information, the less chance of making mistakes. Okay, but we'll show it the other way around. So like I said, 153 lots of 32 is 4,896. So let's show how 32 lots of 153 gives the same answer. Of course, if you want to get ahead and try and do this, feel free to pause and continue. 153 doubled is 306, which doubled is 612, which if doubled is 1,224, which doubled is 2,448. Now, again, having to start to really think about this, which is why I sometimes don't recommend you go too high with this, because we double that, we get 4,896, which, as we know, is 32 lots. So you get to the answer, but the work I've had to do, I've had to really probably tax my brain a little bit more doing that doubling method than maybe I would have done, let's say, using this setup or the ones down below. 153 doubles to make 306. I'm going to times the 1 value by 10 and the 2 value by 10. And then I'm going to go 20 plus 10 plus 2. So yes, I've got to add 3 numbers, but I've really had to do very little there to generate those numbers. Because once I've doubled, I'm just times them by 10. And the last way I've chosen to do it, slight variation, I've doubled to get 2 lots, but then if I add the 2 and the 1 together, I can make 3 lots. So 306 plus 153 gives me 459. So then I know if I times this by 10, 4,590 plus the 2 lots, add those together, we're looking at another answer of 4,896. So, to summarize, it really, because this is the level really you need to be at to get, I would say, grade 4 GCSE on the foundation. So it's all about just, again, being flexible, trying out the table to start with the earlier introduction, and then trying to build up to this level really. And once you can do this, you've pretty much got multiplication covered, I would say, for foundation level. So thanks for watching.